Good evening, Facebook family. This is your girl, Lakeisha Mosley. I am so excited to talk with y'all tonight. I have another illustrious member of the HBCU Experience Band Edition, Miss Terri White. So, Miss Terri, welcome to Convo with Keisha.
Thank you for having me. I'm happy to be here.
I'm super excited to be talking to you tonight. So, before we get too far ahead, soror. They know I represent pink and green, baby. I represent pink and green. I want you to start by telling us like a little bit about yourself.
Okay, so I mean, I Terri White. I hope it's obvious. I went to Howard as my HBCU. Originally from Pittsburgh, PA. I'm currently living in Charlotte. I had a pretty long career in museum management and transitioned into supply chain technology. So I'm a Black in tech, and I'm in the process of starting my own company, a distillery and beverage manufacturing company. Mm-hmm. Other than that, I'm out here living life just like everybody else in this pandemic, trying not to get stark crazy, and apparently talking about my life in an HBCU band. So here I am.
Yes. I love the Black in tech. Okay. I'm just, Black girl magic just all over the place. Like, I just absolutely love that. Oh, I love it. Like, that's just hot, girl.
It was a really like strange transition, because when you transitioned, I was in museums, so people thought that my job was sitting around looking at paintings all day. But they didn't know that was project management, that was fundraising, that was having meetings with stakeholders so that you could have those paintings to stare at.
Exactly.
And it was a relatively easy transition. I think the most complicated thing is I have a personality, and a lot of people in the industry have more muted personalities. So I'm always the bright splash of sparkle in the room of beige, but hey, I'm all right with that.
Yeah, I'll be the one in there talking loud, like, "Hey, girl, wait, look, did you see this over here?" Yeah, that'd be me. And they'll be like, and I'll be like, "Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry."
That's all you said. Like, forgiveness, not permission. So
exactly. So we talked about a little bit. You repping that H for Howard.
University.
So was it HBCU your first choice?
It was actually. So in Pittsburgh, let me clarify. There are tons of Black people in Pittsburgh. I do want to put that out there, because that's the question everybody asks me. Are there Black people there? Meanwhile, they looking dead at me. Like, no, I just came out the sky.
Right.
I grew up in a Black neighborhood. All of my schools were majority Black until I got to grad school. So, I definitely was around my people, but the HBCU experience just wasn't there, because, there aren't a lot near us.
Right.
So growing up, watching a different world, I was like, oh, I want to go to school like that. That was it, a different world. Right. And when I went on an HBCU tour, I kind of made a list of things that I wanted. They had to have a certain major. They had to have an AKA chapter.
Hello.
They had to have a marching band that was show style. And I didn't realize all HBCUs were show style, because, again, we just weren't around that.
Right.
And I knew I didn't want to be in the country. So I said, all right, we got to be in the city. And it came down to two, and Tennessee State and Howard. And Howard's alumni list won me over. So that's how I got there, and the rest is history.
Oh my gosh, that's so amazing. I was talking with Dr. Christie on last night.
Yeah.
And I was telling her, I had a little bit of the HBCU experience. When I first graduated from high school, I went to Southern for a little bit, and then I came home and I finished at a PWI. I graduated from Northwestern State University, and I said, I don't regret my decision of where I went. I think I got a great education. I think it was phenomenal. Everything that I learned, although really not using that degree. However, I love the family orientation of HBCUs. I love how that connection doesn't end. So with me going to a PWI, I may talk to some of the people that I may not. We may see each other, we may not. Like it just stops there.
Right.
But I've noticed with talking with the HBCU queens and now talking to you ladies, a part of the band, that connection doesn't stop when you graduate from that HBCU. You are still friends, you are still connected, you are still family, even after you graduate and leave that school. And I was like, I absolutely love that part of it.
Absolutely. And I'll say that was probably one of the biggest culture shocks for me. Because I had never heard of half these schools. I was like, where is this school? Okay, we got a football game against them. Great.
Right.
But this is my 20th anniversary. So if we have homecoming, I'm going to be there wilding out, because that's 20 years since I first entered this culture. And it's not even just the Howard people. It's the people from Morgan, A&T, Prairie View, FAMU, Tennessee State, Texas, like places that I either had never heard of or only read about. And the band culture brings you together across geographic ties. And it's awesome. So I never go into a city feeling like a stranger, because if it's not my HBCU family, I mean, I got enough sorority. Somebody gonna know me.
Right?
It's an awesome network, and I love it, and I'm honored to be a part of it.
Yes, I love that. That I think is super, super cool. So let's talk about your HBCU experience in the band.
Okay.
So how was that?
So I tell everybody this. My first day of band camp started at 6, which meant you needed to be there at 5:45. And as a freshman, you're at the bottom of the totem pole.
Right.
That meant you had to be there at 5:30. And I remember running the track. It's pitch black, no stars, no nothing. Like God had forsaken the city of DC. And I remember thinking to myself, Lord, did I make you mad? Why am I running at 5:30 in the morning?
Right.
What do I need to repent about? I mean, these people were mean and crazy. And, I understand now it was just, it was the initiation into the hierarchy of earning your place in that band. But in 2001, I was like, what in the world is wrong with these people? Because that was not what band was like at my high school.
Right.
So, but after that, once I finally started getting up those ranks a little bit, it definitely was a family. I've never laughed so much in my entire life. And even now, you get a group of us together. We'll say some stuff that just completely makes zero sense, but we have a reference point for what it was and what we're talking about. And we'll just bust out into the most obnoxious laughter ever. So, I mean, yeah, it was great. And then as far as the musicianship, that was another thing that was so new for me. I played clarinet since the age of 7. And we played stuff in high school. We had a concert band like ensemble, but I definitely expanded my musicianship and felt myself becoming an even stronger clarinet player. Shout out to all the clarinets when I was at Howard, and meeting people who were into this as much as I was, because in Pittsburgh and Pennsylvania as a whole, that's a football state, and marching band, that's those nerds with horns supporting football.
Right.
And, nobody cares about marching band. They just don't. And to be around people who loved what I loved doing and then did it well and did it with pride, and to see the band be more important than the football team, that was like, what?
Yes.
Okay, so 5:30 in the morning so that I can experience the rest of this. All right, it's a trade-off. So I loved it. I loved every minute. Well, I loved every minute in retrospect. Some days it was a little rough, but I'm here now. I made it through.
Right. Oh my gosh. And I was telling Dr. Christie last night, I said, It's so crazy because when you think of an HBCU, the first thing you think about is the freaking band. Like to me,
Hello.
we just cannot think about an
Hello.
HBCU without thinking about the band. And I referenced the movie Drumline. Like that's what comes to mind is the band and how y'all go out there and kill it. Every single week, and it's not these easy little shows that the PWIs do. These are complex, very intricate shows that you put on for people, and I'm like, it's just amazing how a part of how big the band is for an HBCU. So talk to us a little bit about why the band was instrumental for your HBCU experience.
Sure. So I'm going to tell the story that's like an inside Showtime joke that as far as Howard University was concerned, I was dead. And so what happened was, like, legit, Terri White had died, according to the university.
Oh my God.
The system and everything. And what happened was my mother passed away 4 months before I started school. And so I went from being a dependent student to an independent student right before I started. And I submitted all the paperwork. But we call it the A building. I'm sure other people call theirs different thing, but the administration building that has the financial aid office, not always the most organized of places.
Right.
And instead of marking that my parent had died, they said that I died. So they had notified the band directors, like, yeah, this student you were going to get, she's dead. Literally the next day, I called Mr. Newsom, who was the head band director, and said, hi, my name's Terri White. I'm from Pittsburgh. I just want to know if I need to bring any, special reeds or supplies. And he just sat there and said, Terri White? Well, yeah. The university told me that you died. And I said, no. I'm on the phone with you, and I don't think I'm dead. Let me check,
Yeah, let me check my pulse. Hold up.
Let me check. And so literally he and Mr. Washington, who was the associate band director, ran over to the A building and said, y'all messed up. And so I got an even better academic scholarship than I had because they realized they messed up. And they literally saved me from to be able to attend, because I almost wasn't going to have a spot because they had purged me. So off bat, thank you, Showtime. Thank you, band directors, for making sure they didn't kick me out.
Right.
And that's the running joke. Terri White, she's dead. That was the running joke for the last 20 years, that I'm dead.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Hilarious.
Yeah. So I mean, Howard gets all these accolades, but I'm like,
how y'all mess that up?
Listen. I to this day, girl, that'd be a whole nother show. Talk about the A building, and any Howardite can tell you it's like going into purgatory in there, because you never know what's going to happen when you walk through those doors. So I thank the band directors for helping me navigate that whole system all 4 years, because it was something every year, and they helped me all 4 years.
Right.
Yeah. Like 1 year, this was my junior year, I was $100 short for the semester. $100. And I was about to get purged from the system for $100. Now, mind you, I'm a full-time student and a full-time band member, so I didn't have time to have a job. So I went to Mr. Michael Fitzhugh, the assistant band director, and said, I might not be in school next week. And he found $100 somewhere in their budget so I could stay in school. So
yeah,
I say this one to say, luckily Howard administration has improved slightly since then, slightly. But also that the band directors, as much as they'd fuss and yell and tell us we sound like we're playing out our butts and, really, really tough on us.
Right.
They definitely cared about us as people and wanted to make sure that we did well. So if nothing else, band provided that for me. Now, I know most people were saying stuff like, oh, I made my friends and we had to entertain our classmates. I mean, yeah, we did that too. But for me personally, that just to be at Howard, I know it's because of band.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And oh my gosh, I mean, think about if your band director, assistant director, had not thought enough, like, oh my gosh, y'all didn't purge this girl from the system, talking about she dead. She is alive and kicking it on this telephone right here.
Mm-hmm.
You know, just imagine like not being able to go, or maybe it would have gotten to a point way past where they could kind of recover it, or you just think about like, oh my gosh, like good thing I called.
Right? Me being a band nerd, thank you.
Yeah.
Because if it had just shown up, I wouldn't have had housing. I would have not had my scholarship anymore.
Right.
I would have been in a new city by myself.
Exactly.
Just there. So yeah.
That is amazing. Thank God definitely for, people who just showed off the bat that care that you got all 4 years, and think about, if band wasn't a part of your experience, like how that would have
can't even imagine it. People ask me, "Oh, do you know so and so? They're the class of 05. Were they in the band? Because if they weren't, probably not." So it was definitely 90% of my social circle. So I mean, it was my Howard experience. And what I try to explain to the newer members, because the culture has changed. Don't get me wrong. It's very different than it was 20 years ago. But if you put yourself and give yourself to this system will repay you in return.
Right.
And I think that the directors were willing to go out on a limb for me because I showed my commitment to the program. Right. I wasn't just, oh, well, I have to be here, so I'm gonna just show up, and or I'm gonna quit after 2 years or half a season or anything like that. I proved that I was dedicated to the cause of Showtime, and it came back. So you put in what you get out what you put in.
Exactly. So think about your experience or how it was for you then as to what you see the band experience is now. How different is...
Trying to get me in trouble.
I ain't trying to listen. Hey, we just want to speak.
What I'll say is that let me think if I'm gonna say this. I don't need no smoke with my alumni.
Right? Be like, no more smoke on the convo. Okay?
I will say that a lot of the things that we had to endure, like raggedy uniforms. The uniforms were only about 6 years old when I got there, but a band uniform at an HBCU, if it lasts that long, it's done its job. So I would have to march with blue spandex underneath my pants because I had a rip from my crotch to my knee, and it was too big to repair. So, and it's a far away we looked fine, but when you got up close on us, we looked raggedy because these uniforms were just too old. The uniforms that they're currently marching in were the replacement ones that they got literally the year after I retired. I was like, that's whack, but okay.
Oh my goodness.
They don't have to deal with subpar uniforms because it was something that we were very vocal about. They got new instruments at some point. The president at the time of the university was Patrick Swagger, H. Patty Swag, as we called him. And somebody went up to him on the yard like, hey, man, when you gonna get the band some instruments? It wasn't me, but somebody did. And next thing I know, a bunch of meetings happened that we didn't know about after we got lectured about running up on the university president. But we got new new instruments. And so these kids, they don't have to deal with instruments that are,
right,
with home remedy repairs so that they can play.
Yes.
Yeah, a lot of things that we fought for, they do enjoy. So I will say that. The perk was we used to fly to games. It was wonderful. They don't do that anymore. But so some things have changed, but for the most part, I think the things that matter, like looking nice in a uniform, having an instrument that you don't have to know how to work it so that it works,
right.
those kind of perks that they have now, I'll give them that. So you're welcome, babies. You're welcome.
Be like, thank you. Like, can I get a thank you? Like somewhere over here? Applause.
They can thank me by learning their music and learning their drills and sounding good. That's all they need to do to thank me.
Right.
Don't come up to me saying nothing, because I don't want anybody to think that I done hazed you some way, because I like my freedom, and I'm not. It's not that serious for me. So they thank me by learning their music and learning their drills. That's it.
That's why. Exactly. That's why. I love that. Let's talk about the book a little bit now. Terri, don't give them all of it, but let's talk a little bit about the book. What was your reasoning for wanting to be a part of this amazing anthology?
So the first part was, I felt that it was important to remind everybody, but especially the culture, not everybody of the culture grew up in this. Right. There are tons of talented young people in cities that get overlooked for recruitment all the time. And, you know, you have cities like Pittsburgh and Cleveland and Cincinnati that have schools with these band programs that, because we don't have the exposure, unless you have someone like me who used to go back to my high school to say, hey, look, you can do this too. Right. You're missing out on a ton of musicians and, you know, other band members that are being soaked up by PWIs. And maybe that's their best choice for them. But it's a reminder that we're out here too. Yeah. But also, a lot of times when you look at articles about people that are saying, well, why were you in band and how does band benefit you? And it talks about stuff like, oh, you get leadership development, you learn how to work on a team, and that's all well and good. But to me, those are very selfish reasons. Mm-hmm. What I loved most about band to this day is the power that we have in our ensembles to change the lives and moods and days of other people. Right. And so all of the stories I spoke about were moments where I was either angry, frustrated, ready to, you know, like, look, this is not the day. But then seeing how the work that I had actually begun to take for granted changed someone's whole day, or just made them light up with joy. And if you can't see the privilege that is, if you can't see the blessing and honor that is, and realize this is more than just playing music and pop locking on the 50, you know, you are really impacting people. To this day, people will talk to me about a game that they saw me at. I'm like, you realize I stopped marching in 2004, right? But I receive it. I receive it because it really does change people's lives. And I wanted to let the world know that, yes, this is fun. And like you said, when you think HBCUs, you're not thinking about the debate club. You're thinking about the marching band.
Not at all.
Unless you're watching Great Debaters, that's about it.
Yeah, I was going to say, unless you're watching a movie that's about that.
And let's be real, like, no. So to me, it's an honor. And that feeling of being able to just bless other people with our hard work, because they don't care you got a bio test next week. They don't care that your boyfriend's cheating on you. They don't care that you don't know if you're going to be able to get home for Thanksgiving. They don't know, and frankly, they don't care. Once you're suited up, no one cares. It's not about you anymore. Your job, at least this is the philosophy we had in my band when I was in it, is that once you suit up, you are no longer you. You are part of Showtime. You are a part of whatever your band is, and your job is to show out. Period. You can worry about all that when you take all this crap off at the end of the game. Mm-hmm. So that's why I wanted to participate, to bring that point up.
I love that it brings such awareness to a very integral part of our culture.
Mm-hmm.
You don't think of HBCU without thinking of the band, but I love how it's telling your story. It's
Mm-hmm.
bringing stories to life of people who have lived this, experienced it, and I think it also brings another awareness of you can get a scholarship to go to an HBCU for band. If you like music or if you don't like music, but say you participated in it in high school, that is a way that you possibly could get funding for school to go to a school that you've probably been looking at who may have a need
Mm-hmm.
for band members and things like that. And I think that's so important for our kids to know
Definitely.
that.
It is because like I didn't have a band scholarship, so I can't relate on that piece. But I've seen where now that I'm the person like, no, like you want to go to Howard? Okay, do you play an instrument? Here, let me connect you with the director.
Right.
And if it's not Howard, if it's any HBCU that has a band, which is only 41 schools out of the 100 something, so it's not even half. But if there's a school that has a band and you're willing to put in the work, that might be their only ticket to go to college. Might be. And if it's not the only ticket, it could be the difference between being able to afford it and not being able to afford it.
Yeah.
So you use the opportunity. You know, I got to travel to cities I had only seen on TV because I was in band. Going to a school out of state, because especially if you start getting those kids from those cities where, you know, you don't get a lot of HBCU recruitment,
right?
You're going to get people who have never met somebody from New York or Atlanta or Houston or California or wherever. And so it's an awareness that comes with it as well. You totally expand your horizons participating in this culture.
Exactly. I love that. So tell us just a little bit about your chapter in specifically.
Yes. So I share 3 specific memories of how being in band I saw impacted other people. And my favorite story of those to tell is my senior year. We're playing A&T. I can hear my Aggie friends saying Aggie Pride now.
Yeah.
And we had a bus company that I don't care where we were going. We could literally be going across DC. Some way, somehow, one of those buses broke down. And I never understood why. But child, and you know, band people are ridiculous. So we always had jokes and skits about it. But so we're playing A&T at A&T. And those are one of those crowds that I always respected their crowd because they were one of the few that would joke back with us. Like we were pretty rude back then, but their crowd would be rude back. So then we'd just be arguing. It was a whole thing. We don't do that anymore. They're not like that anymore. We were just jerks back then. But we got there late. So everybody's annoyed because we're late and it's their homecoming. So it's like, man, how we be late to the damn homecoming? Like, what in the world? So we're lined up, and Showtime always marches in playing nights. It's just a thing. It's at least since the 80s. I can't tell you. When we stop doing that, the apocalypse might come. But we're marching in playing nights. And while the dancers are, you know, into their seats, the clarinets and piccolos and flags, we're in the back just kind of hanging out in the crowd. And this little girl, she like I'm in line. She's up this way. I say maybe 15 feet. And she is going like crazy. Jumping up and down, screaming, Mommy, look, it's the clarinets. And at first I was like, what in the world's wrong with this little girl? That's my initial reaction. Like, what is wrong with her? Like, hold up, I'm next to this crazy person. Because we were literally in the crowd and people were like in our faces, and you're not supposed to look at them because you're supposed to be back then focused on where you're going. She's losing her mind. So the whole section, it was like 15 of us or something like that. We talked to her because you got us back here doing nothing. So we just want to talk to people. And she was like, she just started playing clarinet. Look how grown up we look. And I'm like, grown ups? girl, okay. But she started playing clarinet. She can't wait till she grows up so she can play clarinet in a band. And I'm assuming this lady was her mom because she was just standing there smiling and laughing at this little girl like, go ahead, baby, it's all right. Little girl's losing her mind. She's just so excited to see us. And we were like, keep playing, girl, keep playing. You're going to be in a band just like this. Come to Howard. You know, we're saying it super loud at A&T's homecoming. Come to Howard. Come to Howard. So she's probably like in her mid-20s by now. I hope she did end up marching in somebody's marching band. Right. But it was so touching to me because I definitely had an attitude because I was tired of being late. I had argued with my boyfriend, ex-boyfriend, whatever he was at the time. Like I was just in a bad mood. Right. I'm tired of showing up late to stuff. Why can't these buses get it together? And she totally changed my attitude because she reminded me no one cares about any of that. Yeah, they're going to joke on us because we're late. But we just finished playing nights. My section sounded great. So, you know, the band sounded great. Yeah. We came here to play. And this little girl lost her mind because she was so happy to see people doing the thing that she wants to do. Right. And she didn't know we were just 19, 20, 21, a bunch of fools. She didn't know that. So to her, we were super sophisticated grown-ups playing clarinet. And wow, we all look alike. And we're fingers going. That's what she saw. So it really changed my whole attitude the rest of the game. That is one game I remember from start to finish because that little girl was in the back of my mind the whole time. Right. Whole time.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. That is awesome. Like just to impact her that way, you know, and for her to be up close and personal with an instrument she just started playing and to see people who are larger than life to her, like right there.
Meanwhile, I mean, I can joke on it because, you know, I was there and I'm like, girl, you have no idea.
Right. Like none.
But to her, like, no, you know, to her, it was a reminder that it is truly, I mean, it sounds really cheesy to say. I know it's a groaner, but it really does touch your heart. And if you can't feel anything when you hear a crowd cheer for you, people don't cheer when they're angry. Trust me. People don't, if you really did a terrible job, they will let you know.
You know they're gonna let you know.
Child, I mean, I never got booed, so I can't relate, but I've seen it happen. And I mean, it's like a spiritual feeling for me. I can't emphasize enough how awesome it feels to know that you can give that gift to somebody. There could be people dealing with depression, job stress. But for that little bit of time, they're watching the bands, and because I mean, you know, the football game, they're gonna do whatever they're gonna do. But they're watching us, and we are giving them something to smile about.
Right. It's exactly. Exactly. Oh my gosh, I absolutely love that. So what is your involvement with the band now?
Girl, so I was heavily, I don't know who Terri is, but yes, it is really a gift.
Yes, she's amazing.
Was I not supposed to read that? My bad.
Yes, you can, girl. Yes.
Sorry.
We ain't got no structure on this show, okay?
Okay. All right.
We have fun on this show.
I like it. I love it. So, as my pen shows, I'm a member of Tau Beta Sigma, Spring 2003, Eta Delta chapter. That's the band sorority. And I did a lot of work with TBS over the years, so much that people remind me of stuff I did. And I'm like, oh, I did that? Thanks. Always been involved with Alumni Band. We had our first playing Alumni bands in 08, 09, and I was co-chair for those. The videos are on YouTube. Feel free to look at them. Know that your girl was very tired at the end of both of those days. And I've just always been around. We recently had a band fundraiser. The band Showtime just started a foundation, so we had a huge fundraiser. And myself and my fellow clarinetists, we rallied together as a section to donate. Because money is important.
Yeah.
I think that's one thing that I like to emphasize is the stories and the memories and back in my day, that's cool for homecoming because that's our time to relive. But these active students don't care. Like, we just sound like old people to them.
Yeah. But I was going to say, we sound old as hell to them.
I could be some of these kids' mama, and I'm like, y'all don't care what we did back then. All the songs we played are considered old school now. So, whatever. But if you write a check, like, hey, if this goes towards a scholarship, if this goes towards instrument repair, if this helps the concert band, get someplace, whatever, that's important. So I would say, yes, I absolutely am involved with my section and with my chapter in the respectful way that alumni should be.
Right.
I'm not showing up I have a life. I'm not showing up to like band practice to ask 18-year-olds questions and things like that. Like, no.
Right.
I don't care that much. But I will, like, for example, we saw a picture on the band's Instagram where one of the clarinets looked like she didn't have a ligature. So we rallied together. We're like, girl, do you need a ligature? We can get you a ligature, girl. What you need?
Right.
You need some food? You need some reeds? Let us know. Let us help you.
Right.
So I try to be the big sister, the angel donor that I would have loved to have had as an active band member. That's how I give now.
Right.
Especially when I still lived in DC. Especially, I was very involved. Now it's just kind of like if someone has a specific ask and I'm able to do that, then sure. But yeah, I'm 20 years removed now. So.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's been a while now. So, my goodness, that's great to still be involved, to some degree. Because again, think about it. Some people are still saying, "Hey, Terri, I remember when you did such and such and such," and you're like, that was like 20 years ago." Not trying to age ourselves, but that was 20 years ago. I don't remember, but thanks.
Or I will remember, and I'm like, you do realize performance Terri and real life Terri are two different things, right? Like you get into performance mode, it's like you're in the zone. But I don't like walk down the street going, like, I don't do that. That's not a thing.
Right.
But I'll do that on the field.
But on the field, that's how I had to perform.
Right. So yeah, I've been involved with the arts and especially music related things ever since. I actually have a funny story. So this weekend I went back home for a friend's wedding. I'm vaccinated, y'all. Don't judge me. And on the plane ride back on my phone, the fifth quarter between Howard and Morris Brown came on. Now, I never really listened to the Morris Brown parts because when I listen, no offense to Morris Brown, I listen to music that I played and I'll like do my fingerings along with it. Mm-hmm. And so I'm on the plane. Most people just think I'm a weirdo and they don't bother me. But this guy taps me. He says, "What instrument did you play?" "How you know I played an instrument?" And he says, "Well, I see you doing these fingerings." And so I said clarinet. Long story short, this guy used to be an HBCU band director. I let him listen to an arrangement because he knew one of my band directors. Let him listen to the arrangement that I had been replaying and replaying and replaying. And we had a whole hour-long conversation about, where the craft is today, what the culture is like, how it's changed. Because he's, significantly older than me. Mm-hmm. So he has a whole different experience than even what I had.
Right.
And, now I somehow have been requested to help teach children to play clarinet. I'm like, I don't know, guys, but it just the fact that opportunity was made available to me,
right?
Because somebody recognized I was doing clarinet fingerings on an airplane.
Right.
That's the culture. Because you can look to this day, I can walk up to someone in my section and like if they're playing a song that I know, like Black and Blues, you can just look at their fingers and see if they know the music because it's the same music. So to be able to recognize that in someone else, I thought that was pretty cool. So that's that is
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, talk a lot. My bad.
No, that is cool. And again, it shows the connection, of someone seeing that and going, oh, she must have played an instrument. Let me connect with her. And then here you go. There's this whole bigger connection within all of that. So I think it just brings it all together. If you think about it,
it does.
It just bridges it all together, which is great. I absolutely love that. So tell us what's next for Miss Terri. What's on the horizon for you?
Oh boy. Well, I mean, full transparency, I'm in the process of trying to buy a house. So
all right.
Listen, because rent is a scam and I can't get scammed anymore. So it's time to pay for it, to go ahead and do it. But in like outside of my living situation, I do have my company. It's a distillery and beverage manufacturing company. It's something I've always wanted to do, but there was always, I have to wait until this, or I want to wait until that. And what the pandemic showed me is that there will never be a perfect time to get started. And I realized I had been sitting on this idea for over a decade because this is an industry that my great grandmother illegally participated in, but she was a part of it. And I'm like, well, I'm not made for jail. So let me do this the right way.
Orange ain't my color.
I'm not built for jail at all. But I'll do this legally. And, it's just been taking off from there. So I'm hoping to have my first product on shelves by the end of next year. And I'm already getting industry buzz, like almost a little too much, because I'm like, guys, I'm still waiting on some trademark approvals. So let me get those before I start going all over the place.
Right.
But you can follow the journey at Sugar Top Spirits on all social media. So that's going on. Work is work, and just trying to enjoy life. That's it. I have, of course, before the broadcast, you and I were talking about Alpha Kappa Alpha.
Yes.
And First and Finest. Getting back into the swing of things there, I moved from one region to another. So getting back into chapter and regional level service, and looking forward to boule and leadership this summer. So, yeah. It sounds so boring, but
no, that's a lot. Buying a house, that's a lot.
That by itself, full stop.
I was going to say that by itself, boo-boo, is a lot. Then we talking launching a major business. Like, come on, that's a lot within itself. Like you said, wait on trademarks. Then you got to do this over here. You got to do that over there. That's a lot.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I like to stay busy. I like to go. And TBS, we have our diamond anniversary this summer. I'm not going to be at convention, but of course I'm supporting Tau Beta Sigma through all of that.
Right.
I'm really just trying to see is their homecoming, because listen, 20 years in the game, that's a big deal. So I got to get in shape so I can act out in October. That's where I'm at right now, because I don't want to be an alum. Like right now, it's like, well, I could still play.
Right.
Or I can march, but they're not going to happen at the same time anymore. You got to pick which one you want me to do.
Yeah, Dr. Christie and I were talking about that last night, and I was like, homecoming. I got invited to Prairie View's homecoming about a couple of years ago, and I was literally exhausted. I was exhausted. I was like, oh no.
Going, and then you're going to march around and play an instrument too.
No.
So, yeah.
But I can't even see myself, being around that many people at one time. I don't care who they is. My people are not. No, ma'am.
So I'll say this, because, Howard homecoming is legendary. I'll say that our homecoming has a different kind of vibe to it than like a Prairie View or a G-Ho. add the little asterisk because I refuse to say they're the greatest. That's just my little rivalry going. But they were packed. I went to A&T's homecoming 2 years ago. Good Lord. I said, let me just sit on this little bench. There's a lot of people. I'm going to sit over here. Whereas at Howard's homecoming, because it's in an urban environment, it's not packed, but there's not the space for you to be compacted, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
It's more event based and you're just kind of all over the place. And then again, because every homecoming I've been around band stuff, that's a very specialized place. So I've always been able to get better access to events, better access to buildings, better access to campus, because I am a part of the homecoming celebration versus just showing up.
Right.
So we'll see what happens if I don't do that. But I don't know. It's just different. So
you never know. I mean, with the way things are going, I mean, it's up, down. We never know, what's gonna happen. But I think once people do start to go out and start to congregate together, I think there'll be those like me who are like, don't touch me, don't come close. And then I think there'll be others that'll be like, oh yeah, I missed you. And no, I'm not. Nope. Nice. It's good to see you. Elbow tap. Like, I'm good. We're good.
But then you gonna get around some people, you be like, girl, where you been? It just comes over you. Because I say that every time I go to homecoming. I'm just gonna be reserved. I need people to understand I'm not hype H2O anymore. That was my 5th quarter name. I have matured. And then I see somebody I haven't seen in 10 years. Yo, where have you been? Oh, give me and it's just a whole vibe. But then that again goes back to HBCU culture, but specifically HBCU band culture. Because
pre-COVID too.
Pre-COVID. We got to see what happens.
Hug you and holler at you before COVID. Oh yeah, definitely.
I feel like
it's a little something outside right now. That's
You're very right. So we'll see what happens. Right. I hope we have something just because of my own selfish anniversary reasons, but we'll see.
I don't think that's selfish at all. I think, that's a milestone that wants to be, that should be celebrated. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, I get that. I don't see anything wrong with that. I just hope that, we are all safe. And that those events can happen because it does make a difference, for them to not, occur and to go on. So absolutely love it. It was great chatting with you. Oh my gosh, you're like a ball of fire. That's why we just meshed so well together. We both walk in the room and be the loudest ones in there having fun. I absolutely love that. So tell everybody how they can get connected with you. And when is the book coming out?
So the book comes out a week from tomorrow, and everyone should get a copy because tomorrow's my birthday. So birthday gift to me.
Happy birthday, girl.
Thank you. So April 27th, a week from tomorrow. So all of you that are going to celebrate 420, go ahead and do that. And then remember to buy the book. Thanks in advance. As far as getting in touch with me, you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Terri White 412. That's Terri with an I. Please don't use a Y because you will not find me. Terri White 412. If you want my LinkedIn, you can find me on there. I guess. Well, I don't know why you care about that.
Right.
Other than that, the links to my company are on my profiles, and I'm around. If you know a Howardite, someone's gonna find a way to know me. So there you go.
Right. Oh my gosh, I love that. Congrats to you on everything. Happy early birthday. It has been a pleasure chatting with you. Congrats on the book as well. I know this is going to be a trendsetter. This is just amazing to put a book out about bands, HBCU bands specifically, to talk about our culture. So I'm super, super excited to talk with you ladies all this week about the book. Like, I just can't wait till it comes out, because I'm definitely going to give me a copy. Definitely.
Thank you. I can't wait to read everyone else's stories. I think it's going to be amazing. So I look forward to it too.
Exactly. Well, thanks again, Terri, for joining me on Convo with Keisha. And we will definitely be chatting again.
Yes, ma'am. We sure will.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. And thank y'all for joining us.